Hello, my name is Pablo de Judis. I am a part of COFY, and I am here today with David Bergeson, which is the director, the executive director of COFY. And I have a list of questions that I would like to do to David to understand a little bit what COFY does. And well, there is no better person to explain that than David. So thank you for taking the time to be here with me.
Sure. Thank you, Pablo, for doing this, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the first question is, why did you start Community Options for Families and Youth?
Well, I have worked in the county mental health for almost 20 years and have worked in a number of programs and always working with the kids who are at the highest level of need and with the most risk. And I felt that we had an opportunity to do therapeutic behavior services, which would be a very intensive service to kids who are at risk of losing their placement, of not being able to live at home with their family and their own community, kids who have been hospitalized, kids who are at risk of hospitalization, and right on the cusp of major problems. My heart really broke for them, and we had the opportunity to start doing TBS, and it's an exceptionally effective thing. And so I took an early retirement from the county and said, let's go do this.
Oh, so this is after you retire, you started this adventure.
It was an early retirement, but yeah. And it is now almost 10 years ago.
Wow, 10 years. Can you tell me what TBS stands for?
Therapeutic Behavior Services. It's a very intensive mental health service to kids who are already receiving perhaps therapy, even family therapy, and psychiatric medication, often with many problems, and their life is multi-stressed.
Well, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell me about the work COFY does? Because I understand that there are, like TBS, 3 other more departments.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, we started with therapeutic behavior services, and then we started our education-related mental health program, which is a program working with kids not unlike the ones we were working with in TBS, but kids who are academically and educationally struggling due to mental health difficulties. So we started the education-related mental health program, or MHEM as we call it, 5 years ago, and we took on who are the kids who are most at risk of needing to go to residential placements, who needs intensive support in order to be successful, and how can we help the school districts with a new responsibility that they had. So we now work with about 40 kids who are in residential placement programs all around both the state and the country. And we also provide education-related mental health assessments for kids who are really high need and identified by the school district as needing support. That's our second program. Our third program is the MST program, the multi-systemic therapy, which is a program working with kids who've been referred by probation and who are at risk of placement, at risk of detention and further detention. And we work intensively with the families to help empower them so that they can work within the systems and have a stronger family system in order to keep their kid at home and out of trouble in school or at work and moving forward rather than into jail. So it's a great opportunity.
I remember once, and I wrote it down, a phrase you said that I found very interesting and also very graphic to show what we do. You said, we help families overcome challenges.
Yes.
And I think that is like resume all the
Yes.
philosophy that is behind.
It is. We believe the best place for a kid to grow up, for a child, an adolescent, is with their family, in their own community, with connections and relationships that will be permanent. And we want to do everything we can to turn the hearts of the parents to the kids and the kids to the parents and get them connected and feeling more strongly a family. And Pablo is in the Functional Family Therapy Program, FFT, which is also working with probation kids who have been in a lockup program of some kind for usually a pretty lengthy period of time. And it is a family therapy program to make it possible for them to reconnect, get connected with their family, and have the family become a functional unit that makes it possible for their child to move on in their life into positive things. And I just have to say, we have a wonderful team.
Yes, I really think we have a wonderful team, and we personally enjoy what we do. Not only because we believe in what we do, but because we like we like it. We really enjoy it. We are very far.
So may I flip the tables for just one moment and ask you, Pablo, what is it that is the most rewarding piece of doing the FFT?
In my experience, it is when I perceive that moment when my client, when this kid that at the beginning, before you met him, you read the information that is given to you and you think, oh my God, this person. And then that same kid has this this epiphany when he understands what we are trying to tell him, and we are trying to, the tools that we are trying to give him for him to improve his or her emotional intelligence in order to be part of the family and the community. That second that I can recall in many of my clients is the most rewarding. I think that is the part that keeps me, doing all this.
Well, and there are times when Pablo has come back in and told me about events, instances with families that touched him deeply.
Yes, that is one of the things that I like so much about doing this job. And so talking about time, I want to ask you, what are your goals for the next 3 to 5 years with COFY?
My core belief about being able to help families be the place where their kids can be successful. We're doing it with probation kids right now. We're doing it with school kids who have serious emotional, mental health requirements that the school has identified. And I believe that we will next be doing it with kids in the foster care system and the child welfare system. All my work has been in multi-agency settings, and the one agency left, we've got schools, probation, mental health. The one agency left that we've not really developed a strong partnership with is the foster care, child welfare, keeping kids at home, addressing abuse, neglect. And I believe that's one of our next biggest challenges to move into. And I feel very passionate about that. That's something, I think I told you before, a pivotal moment in my experience as a child welfare worker, as a family maintenance worker, was taking 3 kids from their mother who was schizophrenic and who was crying and having a nearly psychotic episode while the police officer was trying to restrain her. And I was putting the children into the back seat of the police car and feeling very torn between what can I do for this mother, what can I do for these children? And here I am in this gut-wrenching experience. It's riveted in my mind, and I can see the house, I can see the mother's face, I can see the children's faces, and I can see the oil refineries behind them in the background, and it just drives my passion to make something so that we can support kids to stay with families and to strengthen families so that they can meet those needs.
And I think that it's so important because we are talking about a very, very vulnerable population, that really they don't have any support. And
Yes.
that's why I think that is so important what coffee does, because it's helping precisely these people that are, you know, they are between those that need the most. Okay, I would like to know if, can you name a person who has had a tremendous impact on you as a leader, and how and why did this person impact your life?
Without a doubt, Larry Hanover, who has been my clinical supervisor in several different jobs in the county, an inspirational person, someone who loved me, supported me through many difficult moments in my clinical work and in my own personal life. And he was my supervisor, he was my mentor, he was my inspiration for being able to reach multi-agency across all of the boundaries of people working with kids. Larry's compassionate. He makes sure that what is necessary gets done, and done well. And he is the most edifying person with his clinical staff whom I've ever known. Is that brief enough?
No, perfect.
Yeah.
What are the most important decisions you make as a leader of COFY?
Wow. There are so many small but mighty important decisions that we make. The direction of COFY and the vision of COFY, where we're going to go, that for me is really critical. And the role that we can play in helping the community. We're 10 years old, but yet I still think of us as a brand new organization.
Well, David, I have 2 more questions for you. And this question is, how do you help a new employee to understand the culture of COFY?
Well, we talk about that in the interview process. We really do want to find out, are you a team player? Do you have relationships with people at work? Are you able to solve problems with, if problems occur with people you're working with, how would you go about solving them? We interview for that. Start over. No, okay.
Okay,
So,
I'll ask you again.
Okay.
So, David, I still have 2 more questions after all these questions that I already done to you, and thank you for that. So, my next question is this. How do you help a new employee to understand the culture of COFY?
We talk about it in the interview process. We emphasize the personal relationships. We emphasize that we're innovative, we're dedicated, we're supportive, and that we're relational, and that one should expect coming here that there will be relationships and that there will be connection, and that this is very difficult work, and we want to support your personal development and growth so that you can do the work well. Once someone comes to the organization, we introduce them to someone who will be kind of a mentor, who will take them out in the field with them, and they can ride along, sit with the person, watch them do the job that they're being hired to do, talk about it, debrief with the person again, do that several times with numerous people, and then when starting out, having an experienced person in the job go with them on their first live broadcast, so to speak. And so, intervention. And so it goes to like leaning on and supporting one another and helping and really connecting, so that part of the experience of shadowing is also really developing connections and relationships and the mutual support that is so critical to what we do. And that's an introduction to our culture.
Yes, well, I remember when I started, it was precisely that the way in which I integrated to become part of the team, and I was really very reassuring because we all bring our own baggage, but then by shadowing, I was shadowing Stan, one of my coworkers, and it was a very, very rich experience that gave me the confidence to then fly solo. So yeah, I think that is it's a great way. So now the last question, which is, what is the biggest challenge you are facing as part of the leadership team of COFY today?
I think the biggest challenge is, how do we prepare the infrastructure of what's been a small family, really, to be strong enough to keep the values of mutual support, innovation, and dedication, and connection with a larger group. So we're really challenging right now to develop our infrastructure of our organization so that we can still not worry about being an institution, but being a family that has the capacity to really manage the work and be able to make sure that everything is taken care of, and recruiting people who are part of that vision, who really want to work very hard with families who have severe crises, and empower them to become capable and discover that they can be parents, family members, children of a family, and feel at home with their own families.
Well, that is a perfect answer to ending these questions. I want to thank you very much for sharing with me and with our audience all this experience and wisdom that you have that brought you to create COFY.
Let me say one more thing, and that's about Pablo. Pablo had this idea to really empower our ability to talk about the passion of COFY and what is it like to work here, what is the work like, and why do we do it? And I want to thank Pablo for putting feet on this idea and making it happen. Thank you, Pablo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.